Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I am in the floor and I'm surrounded by books because I am filming a book recs video, which I haven't done in a minute. Lily is here. You cannot see her in the frame, but she's walking in front of me right now. I am doing my winter book recs and I plan to have this video up way sooner than it is currently going to go up. But then I got sick in December and yeah, so I haven't been posting as much in December as I wanted to because I feel like I've been sick for so long, but I'm feeling better, so that's great news. I'm filming this on December 20th and it's going up before Christmas, but because I'm filming it this close to Christmas, I'm not gonna give many holiday recs because you don't have much time to read them. So I did do a couple recs on my Bookstagram. So if you're wanting like real-time updates, follow my Bookstagram. I've been posting closed door recs, reviews, holiday content, things like that. So I'm posting a ton over there because I love the holidays. I love holiday content, especially like photos and stuff. So if you want more like holiday centered recommendations, go over there. But today we're going to be doing winter book recs. And winter for me is like cozy, wintry book or like a fantasy that's super long that I can like just dive into when it's cold outside. Maybe a more emotional romance, things like that. It's kind of the vibe for the winter, so it's kind of what these recs are. Also, I feel like if I read a book in the winter, I tend to associate it with the winter season, even if it doesn't take place in the winter. I don't know. That's just how my brain works. So let's get started. They are surrounding me. So I'm just gonna be like grabbing behind me. So first, I have a few holiday books that I do own. So I was like, I'm just gonna show these because I do own them. They're also authors of a bunch of holiday books. So first, if you're wanting, well, all of these are closed door, but first, Katie Bailey has this little duology of holiday books. We have a Season Schemings, Holiday Hostilities, and these are hockey romances. I love both of these and I love Katie Bailey. I just love her books. I think this is a fake engagement situation and this is like enemies to lovers type situation, but they're both really good and you see the characters like the characters overlap. Really love those. Then we have Merry Xmas by Courtney Walsh. She has a bunch of holiday books. She has Cross Country Christmas, A Match Made at Christmas, her new one, Christmas with a Crank, came out. I have not read it yet, but I love her holiday books. This is a Second Chance Childhood Friends to Lovers. I love this one. I think it's my favorite by her. So good. And then we have Snowed Under by Juliana Smith. The first book in the series is Baggage Claim. I feel like Baggage Claim is more holiday focused, while this is more just winter focused. So if you want to read this in the winter, it's great for that, obviously, because it's taking place in the snowy mountains, I think in Colorado. The first one is a fake dating trope, and then this one is a like single parent, golden retriever, I feel like the main character type situation. It's really good. I love Juliana's books. So those are a few holiday books that I have. I also have one more. This is like my top recommendation for Christmas, the holidays, New Year's. It is so good. This is A Risk Worth Taking by Jessica Joyce, and she has come out with the paperback edition. It is so tiny. As you can see, it's like 70 pages, and it is so good. Like, I don't know what Jessica Joyce put in this, but it is incredible. I don't want to tell you anything about it because I don't want to ruin it, but please read this. I think it's like, I mean, it's on Kindle. It's probably a couple dollars, and then the paperback is like $7, and I had to have it, so I'm going to reread this and annotate it at some point in the next couple weeks. It is just so good. I highly recommend this for the holidays. It's not overly Christmas, but it does take place over like Christmas and New Year's, and it is so good. I love it so much. Okay, that is all of the holiday books I'm gonna show you because obviously it's almost Christmas. So next we are gonna do the romance. So I have quite a lot. My top recommendation for the winter is the Simple Wild series by K.A. Tucker. I love the series so much. It is like a romance series, but it's not interconnected, which I feel like is different than most romances. So basically the first one follows this couple, and basically this girl ends up going to Alaska to spend time with her father, and she meets this bush pilot, Alaskan pilot, something like that, and you're following like their story, her story in this one, and then their story continues in Wild at Heart and Forever Wild. And then another character from these books is what Running Wild is about. So it's a couple different characters, but it's in the same world. So the only one that has different characters is Running Wild. So these three you need to read in order. Honestly, you need to read the whole series in order, but specifically these three because they are like following the timeline. Like the Simple Wild ends, Wild at Heart picks up. So if you want to read these, I would recommend reading them in order. But they're just so good, so cozy. I love the setting, the snowy vibes. It makes me want to go to Alaska, and I have a friend on Bookstagram that lives in Alaska, and she said this book or the series is very accurate to what Alaska is like, which is so cool and fun. So love this, highly recommend. Next is This Time Next Year by Sophie Cousins. This is what I recommend you read on New Year's, like New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Around that time you should read this book because that's when it takes place. Well, it starts at one New Year and then it goes to the next, so it's like a year span of time. But this book is so good. I love it so much. It's one of my like comfort reads. I've read it twice. I've read it and listened to the audio, and it is just so good, and I want to reread it this New Year's. I want to reread it every New Year's because I just love it. It's basically about this girl Minnie, and her and this guy Quinn were born on New Year's, both of them, and you're kind of following her and her job and her career, but also there's like a romance going on. It is really good. I love this book so much, and I highly recommend it. I love Sophie Cousins' books. I think this might be my favorite because I just feel so nostalgic for this book, so I highly recommend it for New Year's. I mean, you can read it any time of year, but you'll really enjoy it if you read it on New Year's because they like watch the sunrise every January 1st, which is just so cozy and fun. So also the sun is going in and out, so sorry. Okay, next, the Magnolia Parks universe. No one is surprised that I'm recommending this. This is like the perfect series to really like dive into. It's so good. So there's the Magnolia Parks books, the Daisy Hates books. You do need to read them in this order. You cannot skip the Daisy Hates books, please. Daisy Hates 2, The Great Undoing, is my favorite. And the most recent book that came out was Into the Dark, which was insane, so good. And there's still 2 more Daisy Hates books that are coming out in the series, but basically it follows these socialites in London. They are rich, well-known, they have relationships, they have their issues, and you're just following them and the real life journey that they go on. It's so good. The writing is insane. I just love the series so much. You can't see it, but it's here. I just love the series so much. It's one of my favorites of all time. Her writing is insane. Like, I've annotated like most of these books, and they're just so good. If you want to dive into a world that you're gonna love so much, like, you cannot put down these books. Like, they are so good. I love the characters. Like, they're flawed, but they're just incredible, and I love them. So next, for a long romance series, we have the Boys of Tommen series. These are the new covers, and it is still an ongoing series, but what's out right now is Binding and Keeping 13, Saving and Redeeming 6, and then Taming 7. And basically these are extremely traumatic and emotional romances. Like, please check trigger warnings if you're gonna read these, because it's very hard to read at times. These are in the YA section because they're about teenagers, but I would not recommend this to anyone under the age of 18 because it is brutal, and there's also a lot of explicit content in them, like sexually explicit content in these books, so I would not recommend it for somebody under 18. The first 2 are about Johnny and Shannon, and Johnny is a rugby player and Shannon is like the new girl at school. And then the next 2 books, Saving and Redeeming 6, are about Shannon's brother and his love interest, and then Taming 7 is about Johnny's best friend and his love interest. So anyways, I love these books so much. I feel like I think about them all the time. They kind of changed my brain chemistry. I don't know how to explain it, but just the way that you like fall in love with these characters. They're so long, but they don't feel long. You literally like fly through them. They're so good. Incredible romances. But like the found family is so good. I just love the series so much. I don't know what's my favorite. I think Joey is just my favorite character, but I just love Binding 13 and Saving and Redeeming 6. Taming 7 was my favorite, but the rest I love so much. Next, we have the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy, which is not a new series. It has been published for a long time. They just got new covers last year, and I got the beautiful spread edge edition. And actually this time last year, I was reading the Off-Campus series for the first time, and I just had the best time. It's one of my favorite series of all time. So we have The Deal, The Mistake, The Score, The Goal, and The Legacy. I would recommend personally reading the first 4, then reading the Brow Are You series if you want to read that, and then read The Legacy. I did love the Brow Are You series, but it's not as good as the Off Campus, but still, this series is so good. It's hockey romance in college. It is very spicy, but I just love these characters. The Deal and The Score are my favorites. And yeah, you're just following these college students, the romance, the found family, the players, the friendship. It's just so good. I love the series so much, and these new editions are just so beautiful. And there's going to be a show, I think a show, of the Off-Campus books, and I'm so excited for that. So that is great news all around. I forgot one, Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This is a hockey romance, like enemies to lovers kind of, like she can't really stand him, but you've probably seen this. It's very viral, and I really enjoyed this. It is very spicy, but I still really enjoyed it. I love Hannah Grace's books. Her books do get less spicy as you read them, and I do like Wildfire and Daydream more, but this is definitely giving winter because it's a hockey romance. Well, this series is a sports romance, but this is based a lot on him being a hockey player and her being a figure skater. But I really enjoyed this. It's great for the winter. Had a great time. Now, while we are talking about sports romances or like hockey romances, I want to recommend the Desire or Defense series. There's 3 books out. There's another one coming out in 2025, and these are hockey romances, closed doors. So if you want to read like Icebreaker, the Off-Campus series, or something like that, you should read this series. It is, I think, professional hockey instead of college, but I still really enjoyed these. I think I prefer professional hockey and like older characters, but I still enjoyed, obviously, the college books. But yeah, Closed Door, love these. My favorite is Flirtation or Face Off. Next we have Where Time Stands Still and Where We Belong. These are perfect holiday winter reads. Just highly recommend them. They take place on a Christmas tree farm. The third one is Where Happiness Begins, but I wouldn't say that one takes place in winter, but you should read these two and then read Where Happiness Begins like in the summer. But these are so good. They're very emotional. I love Ennis Perkins books. If you haven't read them, you should. So good. Next we have But He's My Grumpy Neighbor and But He's My One Regret by Anna Conwell. These are in an interconnected standalone series. These take place in like January to March, I think. So perfect time to read them in the winter. The first one is about neighbors, and then the second one is like a second chance type situation. Really love these. They're Closed Door as well. There's two more in the series, but I feel like these take place more in the winter time. Next we have The Golden Goal, also by Anna Conwell. This is a hockey romance. I read it in the winter, so it just gives me winter vibes. And I think it's kind of like Enemies to Lovers, Brother's Best Friend maybe. Enjoyed this as well, especially in the winter time. Next we have A Little Magic by Lindsay Lanza. This is like holiday, I think it's more like Hanukkah situation, but it is second chance childhood friends to lovers. Takes place in a snowy cabin. It is so good. I love this book so much. Then we have The Off-Limits Rule and The Temporary Roomie by Sarah Adams. We all know I love Sarah Adams. I have to recommend her, and I feel like these are just quick, good romances. Closed Door, highly recommend them. Highly recommend her books in general. Her new one's coming out soon, but that one's giving more summer vibes. But these two are so good. I mean, I love all of them. These two I feel like you should read in the winter. I don't know why. They're just quick, easy, and I love them. And then I think this is the last romance, is Twice in a Blue Moon by Christina Lauren. I feel like I never hear anyone talk about this book, but I loved it. I read it a few years ago, and I think it's also second chance friends to lovers situation, and I think one of them might be famous. I don't know, but I loved it so much. Definitely recommend. I don't know why, it's just kind of giving me winter vibes, so I recommend that as well. Now let's get into the fantasy. So first is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by B.E. Schwab. No one's surprised that I'm recommending this. This also is the UK paperback. It's beautiful. So I read this in a reading vlog this year, and it was so good. It's one of my favorite books of the year. It's incredible. It's basically about Addie LaRue, and she makes a deal with a devil, basically, to live forever, but she will live forever, but no one will remember her, and you're just following her journey. It's very like mundane, like melancholy vibes, sad, but you're like just following her and her journey, and then something happens, and it just gets so good. I love this book so much. Like, I literally got in a slump after this because I couldn't pick up anything else. I love it so much. I can't stop thinking about it. I feel like it's just a book that I'll think about. I will want to reread. It's just so good. Obviously, I bought the UK edition because I love this book so much, and I just highly recommend it, especially for the winter. I feel like this is the perfect book to read in the winter, and I really want to read more of B.E. Schwab's books. Wow, I just love this so much. It is more of a slower vibe, but I still absolutely loved it, and the audio is incredible. If like you're gonna read this, I definitely recommend the audiobook. It also is like a historical fantasy. I don't know if I said that, but that's kind of obviously from the description you probably could have guessed that, but it's a historical fantasy. So then we have the Shatter Me series. This is not in order. Hold on a second. Okay, I just decided to bring all of them out. Why not? So this is the Shatter Me series. I also read this in the winter, like in December a couple years ago, so it gives me winter vibes. And also I feel like it's the perfect series to like just absolutely binge in the winter. So basically Shatter Me follows Juliet, and she has like a deathly touch. Like when she touches someone, they die. And she ends up in this like, she's pretty much in like this like prison type situation where the reestablishment is like, they basically took her because she has a deathly touch. Anyway, so you're following her, and then it just continues throughout this whole series. There's novellas. There's like 6 full books, and then there's the novellas. I definitely recommend reading the novellas. I feel like they add to the story. They're different POVs from the original books. Like some books have just one POV, some have multiple, and then you get other POVs in the novellas. But this is one of my favorite series, if not my favorite fantasy series of all time. Honestly, like I love the series so much. I want to reread it. And it took over my life a couple years ago when I read it. I couldn't put it down. And it's just so good. And there's a spin-off series coming out in April. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see these characters again. Like, I cannot believe I'm gonna see them again. Like, it's actually crazy. So anyways, please read this. It's so good. So freaking good. I don't know what to do with it now. Next, we have the Caraval series. I only have Finale and Spectacular, but the first 2 are Caraval and Legendary. This is like a magical, whimsical trilogy about this like magical carnival, and you're following 2 sisters, and it's just so good and so fun. I loved it. I read it in November. I gave Finale 5 stars and Spectacular 5 stars. I just love the series so much. It is so good, so fun, and I feel like it's like a very easy beginner fantasy. You're gonna have a great time, and then you can read Once Upon a Broken Heart after this. This series is perfect for this time of year, especially now that the holiday novella came out, and you do have to read the holiday novella. Like, you have to read the series before you can read the holiday novella, but it is so good. I love this so much. I love the series. Very fun, very magical. I love Stephanie Garber's writing and the worlds she creates. So good. What else do we have here? we're almost done. Next, I have the Crescent City series. So if you know anything about Sarah J Maas, this is one of her series. She has ACOTAR and Throne of Glass, which I love. Throne of Glass is my favorite series by her, and I recommended it in my fall book Rex video. I still enjoyed ACOTAR, but it's not my favorite. And then my second favorite is Crescent City. I read this in January and February of this year, and I absolutely loved it. I've been thinking about it recently, like really wanting to reread it because I loved it so much. I do recommend reading definitely ACOTAR. I would say also read Throne of Glass, like read both series before you read this. Definitely read ACOTAR before you read this. Basically, this is a urban fantasy. The first one follows Bryce. She's half fae, half human, and she is solving this mystery type situation, and it takes place in this like world called Midgard, and the city is Crescent City, and it's like urban fantasy. They have cell phones. She orders like an iced oat latte, which is just iconic. They watch reality TV, like all this stuff. It's very much like our world, but with fantasy characters, like all kinds of fantasy characters, like wolves, vampires, witches, like all kinds of stuff in this world. It is so good. Like I loved it so much. I feel like my favorite was House of Flame and Shadow, which a lot of people didn't love, but I loved House of Flame and Shadow. I thought it was so good, so action-packed. Really enjoyed this one. And then I think maybe the first one is my second favorite. I don't know. I gave both of these 4.5 stars, but I just feel like nostalgic for the first one, and I really want to reread it. I just love the series. It's so much fun. I feel like if you haven't read urban fantasy before in your word, you won't like it. I definitely recommend trying it because it's so much fun. Like it feels like a fever dream because you're like seeing these characters just like do normal things that you do, but they're like creatures and they're like fighting for their lives and stuff. It's so good, and the romance is so good. But yeah, I love the series. If you read ACOTAR, read this next, or read Throne of Glass and then read this, especially in the winter, because I read this actually when it snowed this past winter, and it stayed for multiple days and everything shut down because we're in the South, and I read this entire book like in 2 days because I wasn't doing anything else. So that's super fun. Oh my gosh, I just want to reread it because it's so special. I love the series so much. It makes me nostalgic. You know when you read something and you're like nostalgic for that time? I love it. And also I've tapped some of it. But anyways, that is my recommendation. I love the Crescent City series. The last 2 books are more literary fiction, and they are by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So we have Daisy Jones and the Six, and Carrie Soto is back. I love all of her books. I've read them all. My favorite is Daisy Jones and the Six. This is about a fictional band in the 70s, and it is in interview style, which is just so fun to read. I've heard the audio is really good as well, and it's just so quick, fast paced. There's romance, like everything you can expect from the 70s, but it is so good. I love this. And then this is about a tennis player, and she's trying to get back her winning title or something like that. I really enjoyed this one as well, and I've loved all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. But these 2 I own, and I've read Daisy Jones and Six twice, and I watched the show. So good. Like definitely recommend it. This is a book that I would recommend to anyone because I feel like anyone could enjoy it. So that is all of my recommendations for the winter. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm surrounded by books now. I'm gonna have to put these away. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed all my recommendations. I hope you got one from this video. I have probably recommended these in the past, but I love them, so I'm recommending them again. Also, when you're watching this, when it comes out, it's almost Christmas, so Merry Christmas. And then it's the new year, which is crazy. All the new year videos, top books of the year, TBR for 2025, all that stuff. Get excited for that content. So that was all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.